How many of you want to wake up in the morning when you want to,
I do that already.
where you want to, right? And get paid for it?
No, I don't do that.
What what you want to do, right? You're getting paid for it all day long and you're doing what you want to do. That's
We're gonna talk
what
about
being
buying
economically
rental
independent
properties.
is all
Buying
about.
rental.
That's what financial freedom is about.
Buying rental
Back in
properties.
the day when
Yeah. How
people
to
were in
structure it.
chains, slaves, working on the fields, working in the
Do you want
pyramids,
rental
wherever in
properties?
the
Don't you
world
have?
they
No.
were,
Yeah.
freedom was a commodity and is still a
Well, you go
precious
buy some
commodity.
rentals and then
That's
Many
not.
ways, in many ways, people are still in chains. They are still in
then they'll
shackles. They are
they
still in the
This
field. But
they
I've
go to
made
work,
it
your media
my
pay the rent,
life's
and then the rent
passion
goes to
and
you.
choice
So you
to
don't have
break
to.
as many people from the chains as possible, from the chains of poverty, from the
That's
chains
very
of
fixed.
impoverished
You only
thinking,
have you
okay,
can only go up to
getting to
10.
the root of the cause, and making
Unless
sure
you're
that you are
exactly where God
free,
wants
free in your mind by giving you not only the mindset, but the process to get wealthy, all right, and to have that wealthy mindset. So, folks, we have a ton of information to give to you in this time that we have together. It's going to be about, I don't know how long it's going to run, but it's going to be awesome. Go ahead and comment what state you're from, who you are is going to go ahead and show up anyway, but name out the state because we have a nationwide group of investors, nationwide, and we want to be able to connect you with one if you're interested in anything that I've been teaching. Velocity banking, real estate investing, business credit. If you're interested in that, name the state.
All
We'll
right,
show you some
so
love and we'll make
it's
sure. What's going on, Dwayne, up there in Illinois? My goodness, man. I
I'm
got to
not
get you
sure if
connected to Scott Rowe. Scottrowe. Dwayne is from Illinois, Ray. Can you
all right,
believe
who's
that?
starting this?
It's amazing. Okay, so we're going to be North Carolina, Matthew Harris. Yes,
Huh?
Matthew is in the house. Glad you could join us, man. You're going to get a lot of information. I want you to get first a pen and some paper. Minnesota. Awesome. I'm glad you are writing down the state you're in. I want to get you connected to some investors in your same state. Okay? Make sure you do that. Make sure. And as people hop on, we are just getting started here. So don't worry about missing anything. We are here live, right here in Southern Arizona. How many people in Arizona on here, man? Missouri. Salute the gin. What's going on? Listen, man, I still got to get you with some people over there in Belton. Hey, hey, Joseph, what's going on? Salute the gin. We still got. I have not forgotten. All right, I have not forgotten. We just want to make sure that they're read and make sure that you're going to get the help that you need. Okay, Joseph from Tucson. Yes, there's the Tucson folks who were talking about. Arizona. Yes. Got Joseph in Tucson. Joseph is not here right now. He's over there in Tucson taking care of the business up there. And we thank God for him. Yes.
Get a plug for that.
Oh, there we go, man. Yes. Listen, folks, I want to right now let you know about Leas Deo. Did you know that we got a conference and event center? Now, not too long ago, and this is such a change from what it was, okay? This was a flower shop at first, okay? If you look on the inside of it now, it does not look like a flower shop at all, right? Listen, you've heard of the different lives that matter. Let me tell you something. General contractors matter. Definitely is important to get yourself a good general contractor. We want to make sure that if you're in the area to look up Leas Deo, okay? Conference and Event Center, Leonai Enterprises, LLC. These people are very valuable to me and the community that they're serving right here in the southern Arizona. And you want to talk about unlimited? These people are unlimited. All right. That's what you call unlimited thinking. Okay. Salute the gym. We got to get you someone down there where you're at in Missouri. Okay. First is going to be Keller Williams. Okay, we want to make sure that they are vetted so that you can get them, right, work with them. And we are going to be starting shortly. And boy, if you're looking for the center, it's going to be 550 East 5 Boulevard. Man, it's awesome. It's 3,600 available square feet. It can be rented. All right. Just let me know. CreditWiz at investorpro.org. We definitely have a lot to say about that, about real estate investing, about business credit and velocity banking. But definitely don't hesitate. Get with me on that. Okay. Absolutely. And we are starting right now. This is exciting. Watch this.
Good evening, Team Laisdale. I'm Karen Gill, one of the leaders here. I'd like to welcome you out tonight for a special presentation. We have a special honored guest that has come from Tucson. Let me tell you a little bit about him. We are talking about Ray Fleming. Ray Fleming, I have to have my notes right here. What he's all done in just the last 12 months. He's been with Renatus for about 4 or 5 years now? 3, okay. What Ray has done, he's partnered up and what he's done is he's taken everything in the education he's learned and now he's just rolling with it.
That's
and
right.
everything is just exponentially expanding for him. In the last 12 months, he started 5 new businesses. Yeah.
He's hyper.
Yeah. And
hard to
how
believe.
about you have started a 1,000 Doors project? You're going to talk about that tonight. We're excited to hear about that. Investing without your own money. That's right. And Ray, you bought some duplexes, some triplexes. Yeah, triplexes. Done a couple fix and flips, right? Yeah. Okay. And Ray has been marketing the education and bringing more people on board and changing their lives. And we are so proud of Ray. Ray is always up there on stage, whether it's regionals or nationals, and he is always receiving an award. So you will find a lot of stamina in this man.
Big
A
lady
lot
from
of
Michigan.
goal setting. He can teach you to take your business to the next level. So let's give a hand for Ray for what he's going to teach us tonight. And I thank you for being here.
All right. Great. Jerry Goins, are you related to Larry Goins?
I want to meet that guy. Sounds.
You're
Maybe when I grow up. All right. Let's just make sure we got everything we need. How is everybody doing tonight?
Great. Woo!
All right. CJ, you're always awesome.
Yes. We're fired up.
Let's hear about some dreams.
Fire.
Who has a dream?
Fire.
I have a dream.
You have fire. You want fire. Fire is your dream.
Yes.
You're a caveman.
Yes.
Fire. Elsa, what is your dream? Could be monetary. It could be anything.
Yes.
What's your
Be an
dream?
independent person and doing my own
Your dream.
business.
What's your dream, folks?
Independent, doing your
Absolutely.
own business, successful business.
Oh, absolutely.
What is that business? You know, is it a real estate business?
Real estate
Real
business, invest in property,
Invest in properties.
anything.
Why?
I don't want to work for anyone. I want to work. I would like to work for myself.
There you go.
I tell people what they people telling me what to do.
That's awesome.
I feel the same way. I don't like people telling me what to do
Yes.
either.
Yes.
Yeah. Bill, what about you? What's your dream?
We retire in 20 years.
There you go.
20 years. In 20 years?
In 20 years.
That's
a
too
Time
long.
away.
That's too long, folks. 3 to 7 years.
All right. So, what does retirement look like for you?
Retirement is what I got going on now.
Look out. There you go.
So, you're
With
telling me you
more
want to
money.
retire for the second time
Right. With more money.
with more money. How much?
I got enough.
There you go, Joseph.
So you know, investment, had to have some residual coming in, income coming in, and you have to have some investments. So
So,
it's not I can put a dollar amount on how much money I need to retire. It's all depending on how much fun I want to have.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
but let's say you had $5,000 that
Not-
came
not gonna be
in,
enough.
not gonna be enough.
That's right.
10,000.
Not gonna be enough.
20,000 a month that keeps repeating itself.
Oh,
He's got big
20,000?
dreams.
All right, I probably do something with that.
You're in the right place.
Big dreams. Big
After a
dream
couple
Bill.
months in, you'll be like, all right, we got
I
it.
had to do something with 20. I had to do something with 5 actually, since you're talking about monthly. If you were talking about all together, no, but
Say
five
from
a
your
month,
investments,
yeah,
producing
5.
$5,000
Every month.
consistently every
Yes,
single month.
every month.
And appreciating.
And then that's, of course, that would
Yes.
kind of give you some more
Yes.
time to do whatever you wanted. Is
Right.
that travel?
Yes,
You like to travel?
yes.
Anything in particular? Do you like paradisey type situations or just exploring?
Just go out there and get it done, do what I want to do.
Get it done, he
That's
says.
right.
Just
That's
do
right.
what I want to
You just
do,
got to
know?
do it.
I have a lot of different things I would like to do. Just traveling is just a piece of the pie to advising my lifestyle. So it's just being able to live comfortably and be able to do what I need to do at any point in time, or go wherever I want to go at any point in time, and not worry about coming back and pay a bill.
Perfect.
That's good. That's
So the
good.
ability to do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do, with whoever you want,
Right.
and
Not come back and have to worry about paying the bills because they spent too much money someplace else.
perfect. Well, isn't that why we picked
That
real
sounds
estate?
great.
It sounds great. What about you? Similar past, similar dreams?
Folks, Queen Emily
Rich
has
and
just
famous.
entered
Rich
the
and famous,
YouTube
perfect.
building.
There.
Queen
You're
Emily.
there.
Big
Well,
shout out to Queen Emily. God bless you.
I've been gonna be an actress all my life, so now all that's left is playing Betty Davis parts, unfortunately, but I've been practicing.
And so, how is real estate going to help you get there? How does real estate help you get there?
good.
Because it can.
I learned from the wealthy 1%, and I
Perfect.
got educated. I'm on my path. What I'm gonna be famous for is my kind of Carol Burnett, Lucille Ball comedies that I'm gonna put out there on YouTube, and then I'm sure some Hollywood producer will pick me up.
But of course,
I can see that.
so it's one of those things. But if you had some money coming in each month, and then you'd have all the freedom to do that, right?
Yes,
But while we gotta still build that empire,
I'm building.
gotta grind and keep grinding, and then we free up time. I
That's
think
right.
that's what we all want to do is free up time.
Show me how to make that money, man.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is. Because we like to not create nest eggs, we like to create chickens. So each month, wherever we go, you're traveling to Fiji and you spend 10 grand, first of the month, you get your money again, then you shoot off to Europe and Italy. Keep doing that. And you keep floating around the world, and your money's going to chase you around the world. That's why I like real estate. But you know what? Take some money, and I didn't always have a suit. I usually had, my suit was covered in paint and tar. I was a contractor, handyman, landscaper. If it was dirty and you didn't want to do it, I did it. That's really what I did. So did all that beautiful stuff, and I wanted time freedom.
Yes.
I wanted to be able to travel. That was not, a burden. Really, it was like, I feel guilty. I just got back from going to California, but I spent this money, and now I feel bad. So, how can I travel without the guilt? Well, I found Renatus, but of course, I didn't have the money for Renatus when I first found it.
All right.
When I first found Renatus, I actually just destroyed my knee. I was losing my business because I couldn't work. It was just solely up to me to do all the work. And I couldn't even pay my mortgage. And then they wanted me to invest into some education. I
Right,
said, are
right.
you crazy?
Right.
But it wasn't. There was somebody that asked me a very important question. They said, Ray, how much longer do you want $20,000 to be a lot to you? I said, well, $20,000 is a lot to me. That's more than I'm making a year
What's
sometimes.
going on, Brenda?
I mean, that's, especially, you know, coming from a background of restaurants and being a handyman, did not make a lot of money.
Right.
But, little disclaimer here. I'm an independent marketing affiliate for Renatus. I'm going to do my best to represent them, but I am not employed by them. So I also will talk a lot about legal structure tonight. I'm going to talk about
That's what you need.
taxes and
That's what
different
you need.
types of real estate strategies. I'm not acting in a licensed capacity, so I always recommend that you seek professional counsel when trying to implement any of these strategies into your own situation. So these are general in nature and just basically my experience in certain events and how they've worked out for us. And tax business, we kind of covered all of that, as well as, you know, I always recommend you work with the best CPAs and attorneys. That's what I do to help mitigate risk. We good with that? All right. Now I can tell you anything I want and I'm off the hook. That's basically it. So I'm going to talk about a business that we set up. That is currently in the works. It's called the 1,000 Doors Project. Now I wanted to acquire those rental properties so I could have money coming in and it would chase me all over the world. But the problem is I had no money. So what do I do when I don't have any money and I want to buy a bunch of rental properties? What do?
Take Matt Sorensen's class.
Right, you take class. But
That's
if you
right.
didn't know that there was a class out there that could help you, what do?
And go to family.
Well,
You said
go to
didn't have
family.
money?
If we did not have money,
Get someone else's money.
if you didn't know you could do that,
Huh.
what do?
You quit.
You
You
quit.
give up on your dreams.
We give up. We sit there and
Wow.
dream.
Wow.
And we sit around at work and we
Don't
talk
give up,
about
folks.
the dream. And we're like, hey, I want to do this, the dreams. Is there a shortage of dreamers in the world?
Yeah.
No.
No. Everybody has a dream.
Everybody.
There's no shortage of dreamers. There's just a shortage of the people that are able to do whatever it takes to make those dreams become true. And that's what we're here. That's what we're not to show. I'm going to show you a really great way that if you want to start to create something utilizing other people's money and retirement, showing them a way that they can achieve their dreams too. Because it only works if this is going to be a win-win situation.
Yes,
If you create a win-win, then people want to hop on board with that.
that's right.
And so we've created the 1,000 Doors Project. My partner Joseph, that is the top J. Some of you may or may not know Joseph Smith, but he's a fantastic individual. He was supposed to be here tonight doing this meeting, but unfortunately, his mother-in-law,
Had some business to take
she
care
had
of.
she ran into a little bit of a health situation, had to actually rush her to the hospital.
Mhm.
She is dealing with a really bad infection and also tackling Alzheimer's at the same time. It's a really unfortunate
Let's pray for her.
situation, but I ask that tonight you say a prayer for her
Yes.
to wish her restored health and longevity. That's really what we can hope for. So, but that is why you're blessed with me tonight.
Yes.
I am here,
Yes.
and so I am the other R. And so Joseph and I, we met through Renatus, which is an education company that talks and teaches about wealth strategies
Hey,
and
thanks,
real
big baby.
estate. And we came together and we're like, hey, do you have any money? He's like, no, I don't have any money. I was like, I don't have any money either, but let's go buy a bunch of properties. I don't know how we're going to do it, but let's do it.
Yes.
Renatus said we could.
Could you say that again? Say that again. You said I didn't know how we
I
were
didn't
going to do
know
it.
how, but Renatus said I could do it.
Okay.
And they showed me how to do it. And so all I had to do was take the classes. I'm like, this might just be crazy enough to actually work. And then so we did exactly, get this, we did exactly what they told us to do. And it started to work. It started to
Yes.
work. So we came together and we created a company, and it's called Wise Guys and Ties. And this is a business consulting firm. It handles business credit and also property management and manages other companies. What it did is it went out and it found some people. Where can we find people?
Everywhere.
Right. You can find people everywhere. There's people in this room. You
Yes.
go to the grocery store, there's people. You go to church, there's people. You go everywhere where you currently work, your friends, you know people. So we went out and we started talking to people. And we said, we have a dream. We have a vision. We want to create a company. Now, everything you see here in a square is a company. It's some type of legal entity. So this is the idea, and this is the PowerPoint we used to pitch this idea. So even though now it is inception and it is up and running, this is the PowerPoint that was put together that raised us all that money. Actually, our goal was $400,000, and by using just this, talking with people, we raised over 406 in 32 days. Commitments. And then, of course, the fun part starts of actually, here they are committed.
Migrating.
Now, takes a couple months to make sure all the papers in line. You got a plan before the divorce. You got to go over, what happens to all these people, because these are all investors. They have their own companies or trusts or some type of entity. Most of these are these are all retirement accounts. Most of these are retirement accounts. So we had to go through a process in a lot of these to help those folks self-direct those funds. And of course, it was a fairly simple process of helping them convert old IRAs and old 401ks into a self-directed IRA company
Yes.
that gives them the ability to write checks to any investment they wish. Now, of course, you want to make sure that these are legal investments and these are allowable by law, or else there's a lot of strict penalties that can come along with that. Dissolving of the accounts, taxation, fines, penalties, there's all sorts of things that can take place. But they would not have trusted us with these funds if we hadn't represented that we knew how to use them. And like Karen said, there's a gentleman named Matt Sorensen who is one of the top professionals. You just Google his name, he's going to be the specialist for IRAs, self-directed IRAs to be particular, investing into businesses. And so he's definitely not cheap, but he's ultimately not going to cost you anything because he's going to make sure it's protected.
Yes.
Now, let's say, Bill, you got, say, $200,000 sitting in a retirement account. Why would you give it to some young punk kid?
Why? Why?
Yeah, good question. Why?
Well, I don't know. I would have to
Why
demonstrate.
would I even consider that?
Well, I would have to demonstrate that I knew how to properly use that account and how it could double or even triple with what you're currently making in it. And so that was simply what we did. We walked around and we said, hey, how you doing? And we had conversations. The conversations that everybody just casually has with their, people they don't know. We talk about politics, religion, and finances, That's just everybody's those are not the taboo subjects at all, right?
Just gravitate to them.
You're gonna have to get comfortable doing all those uncomfortable things.
Yeah.
He's our favorite subject.
I'm the one that's I'm just desensitized.
There you go. Self-directed
to it now.
IRA.
Did anybody's parents ever tell them not to ask other people how much they make? I know mine did. She's like, oh, don't talk about money. Don't talk
Yeah,
about
I've
politics.
heard that before.
Don't talk about religion. But I had to get comfortable doing that. And then now I just kind of do it without even thinking. So it's Thanksgiving. I walk in, I'm like, hey, what's up, Uncle? How much you make this year? My mom's like, everybody's like, my grandma, she has a heart attack. But I just had to get comfortable, and I was like, hey, how much you making? Obviously, you're not making enough. You're making 2%? Let me show you how we could do, let's try to reach for 10 or 12 a year, and grow that. And how about this? In a few years, get you all your money back, and then we'll keep growing it.
Yes.
So this is what we did. We found some people who were on board, but they weren't on board until after they saw this.
Yes.
What we're going to do is we're going to come together and create a company. Myself, Joseph, and the Wise Guys in Ties, we're going to come in here, and then all of these partners are going to bring their money. That's what they are. They're owners in the company. That's what it is. We split it up, 50-50. It's a partnership LLC. 50% services and 50% money. That is how the ownership is divided between everybody in this company. Yes, sir.
No, I just had a question about what if someone wanted to join you guys in your vision from the YouTube world, from Facebook world, from Twitter world? Would they just contact Wise Guys in Ties?
You
And
could
talk to
definitely
him?
do that. Contact
Okay.
CJ Wallace
Okay.
or contact wiseguysandties.com. Fill out a
Okay.
consultation form. We do free business consultations.
Awesome, awesome.
That is a great way to do it. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
All right, so what we did was we created this partnership. It's going to be owned 50-50. Now it's like, wow. Some of our investors are like, why are we going to give you half ownership and you're not bringing any money to the table? Well, we're going to bring all the services. We're going to bring equivalent to your money. That's how much effort and time we're going to put into this, because we're going to have to do a whole lot of work. It takes a lot of work to run a company. Would you agree?
Yes.
Especially a big company. Like I said, our goal was 400,000. Because we had these properties already under contract in another company that we have. So we had already, another company we control already had these under contract. And so there was a triplex, and then there was a duplex. And as you notice, there's a square, because we will put each property into their own LLC. Why would we do that?
Protection.
Protection,
Okay.
huge. Yes, something happens over here, slice it off and we can separate it. We want
Perfect,
as much
Joseph.
separation from our investors' LLCs as possible. So something happens here, they're gonna have to get through the insurance, the legal veil, or the corporate veil, then attack this before they could ever even get over there.
Right.
There's a lot of separation between everything. Now, one of the first things so on this, the duplex, we purchased for $160,000, $220,000 for the triplex, so about $380,000, which left us about $20,000 for a few small fix-ups and legal fees. That's really what it is, goal of $400,000. Now, as we do this, another important aspect to what we do is business credit. So we help each business establish business credit in 6 to 12 months. In 6 to 12 months, can establish a $50,000 line of credit without using a social security number. This is very important, because if these are self-directed retirement accounts, you can't actually personally guarantee any of the debts that, since they have ownership in this, they can't personally guarantee anything as far as, taking out loans or something like that. That creates a problem. If nobody can put their social security number on there to qualify for a mortgage or a commercial loan, how are we going to actually get more properties? Well, it's the establishment of the business credit strategically. What is a problem that a lot of people might foresee in owning a rental property? What are some problems?
Stuff breaking down.
Breaking down. What else?
Loss of tenants.
Loss of tenants,
Natural disaster.
natural disasters. Yeah.
Unnatural disaster.
And so like you're saying, what happens if
You get sued.
legal costs,
Mhm.
or water heater goes out. Who pays for that?
Maintenance.
Right, the maintenance stuff. Who pays for all that?
The owner.
The owner.
Hmm.
Now we're using up, we don't have a
Cash
whole lot of
flow,
extra cash
appreciation.
here. So does that mean we have to start to stockpile cash? And if you're an owner of rental properties, you're going to need, hey, that's nice. I'm getting some cash flow, but at the same time, I need to save this in case something happens. So by building the business credit, we're able to create a safety net. So if something does happen, then we can charge it onto the lines of credit, and then how do we pay for those? Through the cash flow from the rental. It's ways to offset. It's a way to just reduce the risk of it. So $10,000 roof repair,
Mhm.
that could literally ruin years. That could ruin you for years. What are you gonna do? I mean, all of a sudden your tenant moves out, this and that. Oh, it's disastrous. Now we also, since this main company owns the other companies, we want to make sure that there is an umbrella policy, but we also want to make sure that we have some life insurance policies in place on the managers, because what happens if
Key insurance.
I'm running this
Key
thing and then something happens to Ray? There's going to be a lot of costs involved in buyouts,
Right.
because I own part of this, and there's a provision, these are why we work with attorneys, that, well, somebody's going to have to pay me for my ownership. That's part of the deal.
Mhm.
But, I can't continue to manage if I'm no longer there. So life insurance on businesses is very powerful when the business has that and it can use that to buy somebody out in the case of in the event of an untimely death. That is one thing. Also, the company is the beneficiary, so they have now some liquid funds in case they need to spend more legal fees, also bringing in management. It helps weather these storms. What we're doing is really creating more safety guards and protection for our investors. So we'll have the umbrella insurance, we'll have life insurance policies. And the great thing is there's ways to build cash value on life insurance policies, and so we can eventually borrow against that.
Perfect.
That's another great thing. We do it on the properties as well. We have our liability insurance, and we also require renters insurance. That way, it just helps reduce the risk. So if something happens, it's also such an inexpensive cost for a tenant, and it provides so many benefits. You know, you have a work truck gets broken in, steal your tools. Renters insurance can cover that.
Yes.
There's a lot of different great policies out there. Now, of course, we also have to make sure we're always taking care of taxes and maintenance. Taxes and maintenance, but we do not have principal or interest built into that expense as well. Why not?
We don't have interest built into the
Why
taxes
do,
and
no,
maintenance.
why do we not have to pay interest or principal?
Because you put enough down.
Right,
You don't
we own
have
these
to
free
do
and clear,
the
there's no
PMI.
debt.
Yeah, correct.
There's no debt. Now, we could have taken $400,000 and put a down payment on, say, a big commercial building. But there's a reason that we didn't. Because the ability to have cash flow, a large amount of income, also building up the business credit, we're looking for the three major things. There's cash flow, collateral, and credit. We're gonna be establishing the business credibility, and then we have some assets that are free and clear, and now we have a track record of cash flow and banking. That's like the recipe for getting more money, if you have that. And that's why we wanted to do it, and also to mitigate risk. What is the risk here if we own the property free and clear, everything is insured, how can we lose these properties? Well, of course, if we screw up, we could lose these properties, but this thing burns down, insurance covers it. The only way we could lose these is if we somehow stop paying taxes and eventually the taxes foreclosed. But as of right now, when we don't have any debt, it's very hard to lose that. So it's another safety guard for our investors. Now the monthly cash flow, so off of the duplex as it's fully rented out, $1,172, and then monthly cash flow of $1,667 coming off the triplex after everything has been paid. That gets distributed out. So $1,419. Now I'll tell you what, in the beginning, we're doing a whole lot of work, and some of that cash flow we don't even see yet because that's going to recoup legal costs, and there's always maintenance things that happen every single month. When there's 5 units, something always goes wrong with something. It's just the way it is. A washer goes out, a leaky faucet, gotta call plumber, shower. There's always something.
Yes.
And of course, we have to keep all that cash on hand because we're still in the process of establishing the business credit. I mean, now it's been we closed on these properties last September, and so now all 3 of these now have about 6 different lines of credit each, and so we're in the process of getting to those. They're about $10,000 each right now in lines of credit, which can help weather a lot of storms. The goal, as we continue to develop this and grow this, is to ultimately get some type of larger commercial apartment complex. We're just talking, a 12-unit apartment complex, say in Tucson, we can find one for around $1 million. But it's going to require $250,000 down. Where can we get $250,000 to go and expand?
Find some new investors.
Excellent. We could. Could we not, since this is a new company, could we not have part of it, the 1,000 Doors project as the services? And the other side, new investors, literally create another little baby of these.
Yes.
Why
Yes.
not? There is no reason why not. Because the first one was the hard one. Do you think these investors are going to be a little bit more comfortable if this company has already been up and running and has everything in place? There's a lot more. Now, how do you think they feel? If they can now not bring any money to the table, but they can partake in the service side. And basically, they're now they're along for the ride. Now, we have made an agreement that in 5 years, we are going to pay them back. That's a pretty big, big promise. So this was kind of one of the things. Invest with us. It's like seed money. And we're going to continue to grow this through leveraging of other bank products and business credit, bringing on of more, investors into other things. But also, what if we don't bring on any more investors? Can we continue to grow?
Sure.
What do we have? Is there any way to pull some money out of what we currently have? Well, what we can get is some non-recourse collateral loans. So basically, a loan against the property. And we could get together $250 or $250,000 easily to put a down payment on a larger commercial property. The great thing is, a lot of times they want to see that you have a track record of property management. They want to see that you have a track record of something already. We've already established that. We can show them 3 businesses and their bank records of positive cash flow every single month. That's what they're looking at. But of course, $250 down, that still leaves what, $750,000. Where are we going to get that? If we aren't bringing any more investors on. The great thing is we could do non-recourse commercial loans. Basically, this itself is looked at like a business. They're going to look at the rent rolls. They're going to look at how much is this property producing, and they will use that as a way to qualify for the loan. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, okay, this property is cash flowing so much, then you could use that to help qualify to guarantee the payment. Now, as we do that, we continue to establish the business credit, the liability, the renter's insurance, but we really start to implement a strategy called velocity banking. Velocity banking is a strategy where we start to transition amortized high interest debt that's in a loan form and convert it into a easier to manage. Typically, it's moved into a line of credit. Now, the great thing about a line of credit is it's a two-way street. So as you charge it up, you can pay it down and charge it up again. Problem with the loan, you get the money one time and then you pay it back. So even if you pay extra, you can't pull that money out. Velocity banking helps us to be able to put all of our money towards the debt, but still having access to it if we need it. And the only way we're able to do that is by the establishment of the business credit. You had a question?
Amen.
Megan.
I had a question. Business credit. If it's a revolving account and I'm paying it back, yet I can use that money again, how is it a debt? Because all the debts I know of are like mortgage, car loan, any loan, student loan, you name a loan, right? I have no idea why that's a debt.
I guess
Could it be
is-
because we were grown up to think that?
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I
Because
guess
I call it the new
it's-
checking account. And lots of people who are on this video who have upped their credit scores, one said
All right.
$50,000.
Credit is no longer,
The issue.
yes, it's no longer the issue.
No longer the issue.
But yes, once you know how to effectively affect debt, then it doesn't become such a burden. That's right. Now, velocity banking, let's see, uses business lines of credit and cash flow from the property to transfer the amortized interest into simple interest, which has the effect of aggressively paying down principal in 1/3 the time. Now, velocity banking, somewhat a little bit complex, a little bit more than that. It sounds really simple on the top, but it's got a 6-hour training on velocity banking. super in depth. You know, CJ spends a lot of time doing trainings, and we do trainings here every so often. You two will bring in a specialist, or you'll train on velocity banking yourself, right?
23rd, Thursday, 23rd is the next velocity.
Thursday the 23rd. Fantastic.
Yes.
That's gonna be the next training here. Now, of course, we still need to worry about taxes, maintenance, and loan repayments. So we absolutely have to make sure that what we are going to do is going to be able to service all these debts. We don't want to have to start pulling extra cash flow out of here. The goal of this is just to make sure that if we can service all of the debt, you know, and we're calculating it at 70% occupancy or 60% occupancy, so anything above that is gravy. But we want to make sure that this thing could be self-sufficient. And in a very short time, 6 to 12 months, establishing the business credit so that way we have that protection. Now, let's say, this is needs a couple units that could be updated. Well, in a few months, if we have $50,000 and we can go in there and start to remodel some of the units, say we start to remodel 3 or 4 of those units, and then start to increase the rents on those, and then it starts a little, which is another great thing, how to flip apartment complexes, which is
Inside.
multifamily units, how to flip those, just like you flip a single family home. They got 2 days of classes in the Renatus education for that. It's an amazing thing. But after, the monthly cash flow, basically after all loan repayments, that's what we're looking for here. Now, as I was saying, all investment capital is to be paid back in 5 years through the selling of properties or taking out a loan against the death benefit of life insurance policies on Joseph and Ray. There's a lot of different ways. Has anybody ever heard of a shelf corporation? Anybody know what a shelf corporation is? So a shelf corporation is basically,
Just there.
there's companies out there that know having a business that's been in business for some time is a very valuable part when it comes to getting lending. Banks and financial institutions really want to see that you've been in business 2 or 3 years. So how do you get money if you're just starting out? Well, that's why, we help people build their business credit so we can do it really quickly, even when you're fresh. Now, shelf corporations, they came about because they knew that banks wanted to see 3 to 5 years in business. So somebody got the great idea. They said, all right, let's create some LLCs. And we're basically just going to create a bunch of them. And that's it. We're not going to do anything with them. And then, 3 to 5 years later, we're going to sell these, say $1,000 to, depends on, the situation, but they just keep increasing in value. There's been companies that have been around for 7 years. Well, that's very valuable to certain people in certain situations. But I'll tell you what, the age of internet has kind of changed that because lots of lenders are now, they know what to look for. And so their lending guidelines have gotten stricter. They like to see that your bank account's been established and that you have bank records. So a lot of lenders actually don't consider your business to actually be up and running until you actually have started the bank account, which is very important to understand because you want to take very good care of your business bank account. Insufficient fund fees, those are very bad. You got to be very careful. You want to have that track record of running money through, which is important. That's why this has its own bank account, because even though it's a pass-through, it has its own account at a different bank. So the money comes in, and the money just goes over here.
Yes.
If we want to start some more, and we're actually in the process of starting more LLCs, there will be basically just pass-throughs. Their accounts and everything will be open, but the money will go here, just kind of passing through, not really doing anything, a little bit to maybe pay for any account fees, but it's starting to build that track record. Now, the problem with shelf companies, these did not have any track record.
You're welcome, JDM.
But let me ask you this. This is just a company that's set up that has no track record. What would somebody pay for a company that has been in business for 5 years? It has 5 years of bank records, and most of the time positive, more cash flow positive cash flow coming in. They have tax returns. Yes, all sorts of things. These years, and it shows track records of owning assets. That this has had some cash flowing assets, and it has a perfect business credit score and available lines of $250,000 in lines of credit. Now that, if you want to start a business and somebody says, well, I took the asset out, because that's simply what we could do. Here we go. This is project, this is this triplex. What do we do? Well, let's start an LLC. And we are gonna move the property. Is it hard to change ownership of a property?
No.
No, just transfer it to another company. Now there's no asset in here, but it has this track record. And it has $250,000 of lines of credit readily available for use. What would somebody pay for that? You want to start a business. Here's a company with track record history, and it's ready for funding, and it already has its own lines of credit that nobody's personally guaranteed, so it's free to go with it. What is that? What would somebody pay for that? What would you pay for this?
Value of 250K, so.
Right. So could we not do that? If we had to pay people back, could we not just transfer a property out in 5 years and sell the company, just the company? Could we set up a note? Could we get a down payment? And even better, could we get some ownership? Okay, Bill, you want to start a business.
Nice.
What I can bring to the table is you got the service side, you're going to run everything. I'll bring the business with the track record and $250,000 for you to start running. Now we're 50-50 partners, and what Thousand Doors did is it just multiplied an asset that was not an asset to begin with, and it created more. And so things like that, you start to think like, hey, like, wow. And when we start to tell our investors like, hey, there's a lot of things we can do here. We don't even have to maybe sell assets, but if in at 5 years, if we start to show them how much this could impact the growth, because in 5 years, this is still going to be starting up. We're going to see a lot of really exponential growth starting in year 7, 8, 9, 9 and 10. That's really when it's going to start to take off. That's just the way it works. There's only 5 doors here. We got to get to 1,000. We may only have 100 by year 8, but it's going to be in those last 2 years when it really starts to multiply. It's kind of the way it works.
Nice.
But by showing them this, they start to feel a little bit more comfortable. And we show them the protections. We show them that I'm not the one that's going to be doing the accounting. I'm not the one that's going to be doing the bookkeeping. I'm not the one that's going to be doing the taxes. We're going to use the best professionals. We're going to pay for the best. And that way everybody's protected. And that's the great thing. These are some of the classes that actually I took that went into this production of this company. And these are all different classes that Renatus had put in place. Now, some other things you don't really plan on. What about evictions? Don't really plan on evictions, do we?
No.
But we did go through our first eviction on one of the units on the triplex. It's actually it's a fairly large building. So our triplex is actually consisted of a 2-story building, that's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. And then behind it, there is a little duplex that has 1 bedroom, 1 bath. We call it a triplex. They're on the same property. This unit, it brings in $1,300 a month. That's pretty cool. And so this is the unit that unfortunately had to go through an eviction. We tried several months to work with them, creating different payment options, taking little bits here and there, and then unfortunately sometimes people are going through rough times in their life what happened was it was a breakup. It was a relationship split. So half of the party left, and one side can't. They just couldn't. And they knew they couldn't. I mean, they're like, "I'm sorry, can't do anything." Well, okay, well, let's figure out a way for you to move on to your next journey. Obviously you guys got this with the intention of being together, but now that's not the case. Help them move on into the rest of their life. Yes, sir.
On that same topic, Ray, because I have a question here from the audience, how can you use business credit as a way to get folks to self-direct their IRAs with you?
Well, it's a protection.
Okay,
That's really what it is.
nice.
That's the great thing. Self-directed IRAs can build business credit. So if you put your retirement into a company that you're investing with, you can actually multiply your retirement account by expanding your lines of credit without being personally liable, and use that to go buy more real estate and do more investing. That's the crazy thing.
Wait a minute.
That is crazy. That's crazy to think about. Your retirement now gets a credit card. Your retirement gets a credit card to go invest. What could you do with a $20,000 credit card though?
Oh, a lot.
You could say, okay, so Elsa,
Yes. What do you need?
so Elsa, you have a $20,000 line of credit at Home Depot,
Down payment.
and I'm flipping a house. I need $18,000 of supplies to go do it. Could you not let me use your line of credit on some type of agreement and an interest rate that I'll pay you back? And you have a lien against the property if I don't pay you? That's a lot of options. And that was a credit card that's not even in your name or your social security number, and it's basically attached to a company that your retirement owns. Pretty crazy stuff. One thing that we're doing right now is it's in the early workings, but we're growing. It's something that kind of is not really been done. So we're taking a trust, because trusts have EIN numbers, and we're working on building business credit for a trust. So it's going to be kind of crazy. Now, we're not going to be able to get huge lines, but that trust owns some property, so having a card at Home Depot could help out substantially. It's going to be interesting, so stay tuned to see how that works.
Did that get a HELOC?
Could it get a HELOC?
Oh,
So it
my
could get
word.
something similar. It depends on if they live in the property, but the hard part is
Mortgage of the name.
it starts to get a little trippy on HELOCs. It depends on if it's classified as a residential, or as a owner occupied, but the hard part is if your retirement owns a property, you can't actually live in that.
Right.
If it's in a self-directed IRA, you can't actually live in that property.
And HELOCs, they have business for
They do.
HELOCs.
So they have like the HELOCs for investment properties. They just don't lend as much or give as much available, and sometimes the interest rates are slightly higher.
That's beautiful.
But yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can access different lines of credit on your investment properties, that's for sure. Yeah, great point. Great point. So this is we ended up having to evict them, spent $1,500 and started showing it. Gotta get somebody else in there. But then, see, I used to do all that work. I used to have everybody always calling me. They're like, "Oh, Ray, I need this problem. Come fix it." I used to work for the landlords. This is the tenant, call them, this is their problem. I used to do that. That was my job. And so now, when we got a property manager, I don't want to ever hear from him. that is our agreement. I did not put in half days, so you can call me with the problems. Does anybody else work half days like me? Usually about 12 hours. That's usually, I work about half days, sometimes a little more. About 12 hours usually, yeah. So, no, and so he calls me and I'm like, okay, why is Bill calling me? And our property manager, his name is Bill too, which I like Bill's. I love
You
Bill.
can use Dave too.
I love Bill. No, I love Bill. No, his
Dave.
name is Bill though. His name is Bill, and I'm like, hey Bill, what's up? And he's like, I thought he had good news of we have a tenant. You know, we got somebody approved. It's like, standing in water. This property, he just entered in and there's water. Standing in it.
Standing in it. Okay.
This is the upstairs bedroom or bathroom. This is the upstairs bathroom. So the leak took place in the upstairs bathroom on the faucet. Here, that's my smiley face faucet. So the little handle broke off and it was shooting water, hot water, at the ceiling. So this is right above the faucet, and for a day or two, water was just shooting solid, hot water up at the ceiling. This is the bottom floor looking up at the ceiling. It's starting to soak through. You know, and this is downstairs, and so there's pieces of the ceiling, the water. That's all the water, and that came from upstairs.
Wow.
And so he sent me all these. I'm like, holy smokes, you know, I gotta get on the call with my insurance guy, and we gotta, you know, get a restoration crew out there and all this stuff. So all this is starting to take place. But I'm gonna show you something. The cool thing is, when you have a team in place, then, you know, he handled that. That's what's so awesome about this guy. It took us a long time to find the right guy, but he's been handling everything. He handled eviction so awesomely. He's been handling everything so awesomely. And this, right on top of everything, and handling it for us. He's an amazing asset to the team. And so, because of what I learned in Renatus, have not even been in the property except until this past weekend. It was the first time been there since this leak took place. I hadn't even seen the leak. I only seen the pictures. I was gonna go but I mean, I got all these other things I gotta take care of. We were in the middle of, our bookkeeper had just up and left. And all of a sudden, all of our investors want their statements, and our bookkeeper's nowhere to be found. Do things happen in business?
Yes.
Do things happen in real estate? I mean, does every flip go according to plan? Or is everyone unique and it decides to teach you some new exciting lesson?
There you go.
Yes. Yes.
Some new exciting lesson. So actually, I'm gonna show you real quick. I'm gonna take a little side step here. I'm gonna show you a quick little, it's a video which you can find on YouTube, but I'm actually gonna fast forward it to just show you, I don't have the pictures, but I'm just gonna show you a quick little, few little images of what it looked like. This is when I'm checking it out for the first time, and I'm just gonna show you a few little images of what it looks like. So I was going up the stairs, and as I got into the house, you know, this is kind of standard, right? If there's a leak, but they stripped out all the stuff from the kitchen. This is upstairs, right? So I entered in upstairs because that's where the leak was. And I'm looking around and noticing they took out the floor, they took out the carpet, they took out the doorways. I mean, I'm like, holy smokes, I knew it was gonna be bad. But I mean, this looked pretty bad. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I think if you actually watch the video, it's like I say, oh my goodness, about 5,000 times. This is the bathroom. So the mitigation crew on having to take out the wet and soggy drywall, this is how much they had to remove. This is what they had to actually remove. And so this is where the original faucet was spraying up at the ceiling.
Oh my word.
48 hours, that's what they think. It's basically raining in there for 48 hours, just saturating everything.
Noah's Ark for 48
And
hours.
so I'm like, okay, all right, I'm going through here and I'm looking in the kitchen. Okay,
It's ruined.
I'm like, holy smokes, they had to take out everything in the kitchen. The cabinets were soaked on the bottoms. That's kind of another problem. They're trying to figure out how to even price all this, and now there's like legal involved and there's attorneys. Because they're investigating parts. They're like, holy smokes, who is actually gonna pay for this? Because this is not just like, little claim. And our property manager is like, this is gonna be the biggest thing I've seen in my 30-year career. And when he said that, I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, I know that the ceiling had soaked through a little bit. And I was like, wait a second. It must have hit this wall.
Yes.
And I'm like, I was kind of shocked. And then Joseph's down here, and Joseph's like, hey, what's going on, guys?
He still got a smile on his face.
And there is not a piece of drywall left in that house. That is how bad it was. I was literally, I'm still shocked when I see this. I'm like, this was a house that was fully remodeled 6 months ago, and
Oh my word.
and 3 weeks ago it had a tenant in it, and now there's no house left. So there's two different solutions. I mean,
It
there's
was
two
newly
different outcomes that could have
remodeled.
taken place. I could have been crying substantially because now we're out of business.
It costs money.
That is the culprit. So the sink and everything, it actually got shipped over to like a law firm that's doing like investigation, and they have to figure out really who's at fault for this. And they're gonna, I mean, obviously that's what they do, because our insurance company, they don't wanna pay for this. They don't wanna pay for that at all. So they're gonna try to find who's responsible for all this damage. So I got attorneys calling me, and they're like, oh, where were you? And I'm like, what? What do you, I mean, like, I have no part in this. I mean, this house, and so I didn't even know that what's cool is, well, there's a couple of learning experiences from this. So there's a few things that, you know, we wanna keep in mind. As of right now, this whole thing is gonna be covered, as of right now. We have $1,000 deductible. This thing's gonna cost a little more than $1,000. It's gonna take months.
Right.
But what is another great thing?
What's
This was
another
another test. Yes.
Will you get lost, Ren?
Watch this.
Money?
Watch this.
We will.
You'd be skippy.
Make sure that's in your policy. Loss of rents while they're working.
While they're working it,
$1,000 deductible. We put $1,500 into it to get a new tenant in there. But
don't you wish you
after
learned
it all
that at
washes
home ec?
out, we will receive the loss of income, and the attorneys involved, you know, obviously if they find some part at fault, of course that's why other companies have insurance, then there may be a possibility where we don't even pay the deductible for that. Now this was, I mean, that the importance of insurance, importance of rent insurance. Now this is another thing too. We were 18 days vacant, 18 days. 30 days and beyond, our policy would not have covered us on anything. It would have been a complete loss. We would not, I mean, it would have not been, they would not have been responsible at all. So this was something very important to understand on your policies, especially of your rental properties or something like that, because it's easily, there's been times that properties could go vacant for 30 days or more. If that's the case, make sure you have a good insurance agent you can work with, and possibly needing a vacant rider on there, or just another vacancy policy. If you're doing a fix and flip, of course you're gonna have some type of, you know, vacancy policy because nobody's living there. But it's something many people don't think about with their rental properties. Oh, well, it's not vacant, I'm showing it. Wait until something like this happens. Insurance are gonna do everything possible to make sure they don't have to come out of pocket. Because
now your insurance,
what do you guess the cost of this is gonna be?
the walls, the ceiling, the floor.
Around 100,000.
And so it's gonna be pricey.
That's a general contractor that said that, y'all. He knows what he's talking about. Years of experience. 100,000.
Completely. I said
Upstairs,
two.
downstairs.
I said 200.
It is going to be pricey.
That's called transferring the risk.
Um,
So you guys don't have to pay.
So this is not gonna be something that's obviously gonna be solved tomorrow. It's something, but our investors, they feel okay because I feel okay. I'm like, hey, look, we've done every single thing. We were perfectly on top of everything that we were supposed to do. There's nothing else we could have done to protect ourselves in this situation. We've been following everything according to what we should do. The team was in there that day doing the mitigation, because that's kind of one of the things insurance want, that you prevent anything more damage from taking place. They worked for literally overnight and into the next day to make sure, and all that was tracked and so it's such a huge learning experience. But on the other side, as long as, you know, God willing, everything's gonna work out according to plan, or not necessarily my plan, but I mean, I could not have thought of this if I even tried. But we're gonna get a new house out of this. It's not. It's
It's gonna be remodeled again.
What brand of faucets are you gonna put in?
whatever brand that is.
That won't leak on you.
I hear there's some type of lawsuit. So, but see, the thing is, this house was
Lifetime
built in
guarantees.
1990. This house was built in 1990.
Wow, it's not that old.
It's not old. If you look at all the junction boxes and everything, this is not an old house.
Yes.
It's not an old house, 1990. And I don't know if that faucet was replaced because we've only owned this for, what, 8 months? Yeah, 8. Where are we, May?
That's amazing.
8 months.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So these things happen though. But you know where the first time I ever had a devastating loss?
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
A devastating loss.
All right.
This is not the first time this has happened to me.
Okay.
Do you know where the first time it ever happened?
Your own house?
No. In this room.
What?
Not this exact room, but in a room with fellow Renatus students playing cash flow. There's a guy named Josh Seitz in Pono
Mm-hmm.
that basically we would role play disastrous situations utilizing a board game. Before I even had the properties, I role played it with other guys and gals in the group. And we went through scenarios like that. Hey, well, there's a flood. Who bought insurance? There's this. Who was protected?
Good.
Who had renter's insurance? Who had this and that? I've lost properties before because I was not insured. But it was through this group. And it was in a practice situation. And they're like, well, I'm like, why am I playing a game in here with you guys? And they're like, well, we play with, we role play it so you don't lose money out there in the real world. I'm like, all right, whatever, guys. Like, seriously? We're supposed to be investors and we're sitting here playing a board game. But then
Wow.
I'm like,
Wow.
hey, there's some method to the madness.
Yes.
Because it's just saved us a whole bunch of money. And it'll allow us to move forward for another day.
Now your insurance also covered an additional $10,000 in upgrades to meet those changes in building codes. That's amazing.
It's amazing. Because that's the other thing too. And then
Increase your equity there.
there's so many ideas. Because then there's a bunch of ideas. I mean, we're just throwing out this idea, and Joseph's like, can we just seal that off? It's 2 bedrooms. It was all plumbed for a kitchen downstairs. There was already a little sink and stuff. The kitchen was upstairs. It's like, can't we just seal off that? Make a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and then upstairs do a 1-bedroom, 1 bath, and it's amazing. It has decks and views of the mountains. So it's like, possibly move it from $1,300 a month to now. This is always a possibility. Always a possibility. Now we separate it off because this unit has its own stairway and it has decks and all these views of the mountains over here. And so it's kind of like a bachelor pad. Create, a 1-bedroom, 1 bath up here. And that thing could get $800 a month because it's a huge space and it's got an amazing view and it's got its own private parking and everything like that.
Nightly
Now
rental.
this one downstairs,
Wow.
not so much, but this could be a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Maybe I think you could still get about $850 for that. This one has all the views and everything, so you get much. But now we're talking, let's say $1,600. I mean, we could easily increase the rents,
Wow.
or just maybe rent this one out, Airbnb that.
Nightly rental.
Or take another class, nightly rentals,
Yes.
and
We could turn them both into nightly
yes,
rentals.
get 800 a weekend.
Yes. That's amazing. There's a lot of options. A lot of options.
Oh, a
That's
bunch
for
of
sure.
options.
So
That's
is
amazing.
real estate risky?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is extremely risky. But would you agree that a lot of risk also is also in the investor? A lot of the risk is in the investor.
Mhm.
A lot of it is. if we did not know, if we didn't have, because if we don't have a mortgage on there, they take care of the insurance and taxes. If we had not planned accordingly, or we had not made the right payments, none of this could be covered. So, I mean, there's a lot of things where we could have slipped up easily, and this could not have gone through. But, these are some of our other projects that we've,
that's mine.
that Joseph and I have been involved in over the last, 18 months or so.
Wow.
Some of these are flips, some of these are wholesales, these last two are rentals. That's the last one that we had purchased at
Beautiful.
auction for,
146.
yeah, $146,000. We purchased that at auction. We spent $10,000 on the rehab. 35 days later,
Only two.
it was closed and sold to the new people.
For 180 something.
180, made $20,000 on that deal in 35 days. Now, of course, that happens very easily on every single deal. No hiccups. No, actually, this one sold before one of our first properties that we got at auction that we've held for a year. It was in closing for 4 months, and that little $40,000 condo was a nightmare. That
Yeah.
thing was an absolute nightmare, but it is now gone. And it actually sold $10,000 higher than any other unit in the place. So, but it took a year.
Right.
So, yeah. But it worked out though. Now with Renatus, that education did cost me some money. That was for sure. But it didn't cost me $100,000, $50,000, or even $40,000 like many other education companies out there. But there's a bar of knowledge when it came to working with this group, and I was like, okay, I want to run with you guys. I want to do some real estate, but they said you got to know what you're doing, right? I was like, all right. So I basically took some online classes. There is all of these practitioner instructors. These are people from around the country who actually teach what they do in real life. Some of the company's offerings allowed for lifetime access. That meant that basically I've signed up 3 years ago, and any updates,
Still got it.
I still get it. In new classes, the Airbnb stuff, all of that. How to actually get Airbnbs without actually buying the property, amazing. Never had to pay for it. So as we have, fix and flip people that do $7 million a year, one of the largest wholesaling companies in the country, financial experts, Garrett Gunderson, somebody who only usually works with high net worth individuals. Our CPA, Mark Kohler, one of the greatest in the country, who specializes in small business and real estate investing, like we talked about Matt Sorensen, but so many other phenomenal individuals that we have that we come down, that literally are, a lot of these are available in Arizona, a lot of these instructors.
Yeah.
And so, if you can't go and see them, then they're available online. But Renatus taught us through education how to keep your wealth and also to build your wealth, how to help others along the way. That's really what it was. If you'd like more information, go to myrenatus.com and you can see a whole list of all the classes, instructor bios, find out a little bit more about it. But I'll tell you what, this is the only thing I can talk to because it's the only thing I wanted to do real estate. It was a dream of mine. And Renatus was simply the tool that I used. It was the pathway. Who's ever been to San Diego?
I
Been to
have.
San Diego?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Of course.
I have.
Yeah.
Me.
Say you want to go to San Diego.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course.
How would you get there? How would you get there?
Drive.
You drive.
Plane.
Or not, or
Right.
yeah,
I
Run.
mean, yeah, you drive.
You can run.
Literally, could you get there at night
flying.
if you could just get to,
Interstate 8.
Interstate 8, the 92? What is it? What goes right through town? The 92?
90.
90.
The 90. Where's the 92? Is that the one that goes this way?
Yeah, like
It
this.
goes to south
I don't know.
toward,
Okay, so the 90. The 90 will take you to the 10. But if you could get to if you can get on the 90, can you figure out how to get to the 10?
Yes.
If you get on the 10, can you figure out how to get to San Diego?
Yes.
Even at night?
Yes.
Like,
As long as your
8
headlights
hours.
work?
Yeah.
As long as your headlights work, but
Sorry.
why? You didn't have to pave the road.
Because we
You didn't have
have to know, we know.
Somebody
The
went.
signs,
Somebody went before you.
That's right.
Somebody laid that path,
Yeah.
and now it's easy for us to find it. I just did what I learned in Renatus. It's literally a freeway. Actually, it's more like a light rail. If you just do what it say, it actually worked.
Yes.
Now, of course, am I typical? I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of people that, I think not everybody will work as hard as me, but I also feel like there's some people that will work harder, if that's possible. No, but I mean, of course, it does take work, like any business, and freedom takes work. But there's all sorts of classes, I always recommend getting started in your essentials, where we go through velocity banking, tax structures, legal structures, raising all the money through self-directed IRAs, understanding your personal credit, real estate foundations, marketing, deal of the decade, learning how to find deals in probate, and red flags, what to watch out for, creative acquisitions, how to find and get properties without using any real money or credit. It's amazing stuff. 60 hours of education with weekly group coaching, it's only $2,000, and you get it for life of the company. It's pretty cool. Now, of course, there's a whole lot more advanced stuff. You want to specialize in wholesaling, fix and flip, buy and hold, multifamily, commercial. You just like paper. No term. You don't want to deal with tenants. You don't want to deal with leaks. You don't want to deal with any of this disaster and be basically the bank. I'll show you how to do that too. I think everybody's goal should be to be the bank, because then you don't have to worry about anything, and people just show up to work and
Yes.
send you checks. That's the goal, because I do that. I send a bank a check every single month, multiple banks. But oh man, there's so much stuff here. But what I recommend is getting in touch with whoever brought you here, whoever invited you to this. And if you think real estate is the path for you, so let's sit down and talk about it. Let's figure out what your goals are, what your strengths are. Before we finish up, I'm going to bring up a testimonial.
Do it.
I'm going to bring up Mr. C.J. Wallace.
Yes.
He is a gentleman who's been part of this organization, part of this community for a little while. And he has a substantial track record of helping others do the same.
Yes.
So I'm going to bring him up, just give a quick little, about 4.3 seconds about what you are. Actually, does everybody know? Oh, wait, no, I'm not going to say that yet. I'll save that for later.
What about
But-
this?
But I want you to know that
How to pay for it?
if this is right for you, let's talk about it. That's for sure. But let's give CJ a round of applause. Mr. CJ Wallace.
Thank you so much, man. Real quick, I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew how to pay for it, right? If you wanted to go ahead and continue your education, not in some university where you're going to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for basically a $40,000 a year job, all right? But for real education, let me show you how to pay for the $2,000 real estate education that has netted me I actually got the huge one, the big package, and that's netted me like way over what I spent for it, which was like 10 grand. So it's like more than like what, 20 or 30, something like that. So it's netted me way more than that. But let's see what $2,000, if you're really spending $2,000 with that education, because you just saw Ray do the 1,997, right? We're going to round that up to 2,000. Okay, $2,000. $2,000. Now, say you had a line of credit or a credit card that was 30% interest. Huh? It was huge interest, right? That's huge interest. 0.3, right? So $2,000, 0.3 interest, because you're going to use that $2,000 for your education, right? You're going to spend $2,000 this year anyway, in total. You might as well receive a return on that $2,000, right? Okay, because you're worth it. So $2,000 multiplied by 0.3 is what? Go ahead, calculate that. $600 a year. Am I right?
Yeah.
Right.
$600 for the year. Now remember, you put that $2,000 towards your education using your line of credit or your credit card, which is costing you 30%, right? A year. So it's $600 a year. Divide that by 12. And that's going to be the approximate
$50.
interest, right? That's going to be the approximate interest that you'll pay each month. $50 each month. in interest. Now, I don't know how much you make, right? But if you're utilizing your line of credit as your new checking account, remember, lines of credit aren't debt. Okay, and as far as any investment goes, especially real estate investment, okay, the risk is where? Is it in the investment or in the investor? Because the bottom line is people are making money in up markets, side markets, down markets, right? Recessions, depressions, people are still making money because they know, right? But if you don't know, you can't make any money. That's the truth of it, all right? So $50 a month. Is your education worth $50 a month? Because this is what's coming out of your pocket each month. You're utilizing your line of credit like we taught you. You'll know that that line of credit is not a debt, but it's your new checking account. Folks, if you have any questions on how money works, let us know. Okay, CreditWiz and InvestorPro.org. We would love to show you what you're really getting, right? What you're really spending. Right? God bless and good night. Thank you so much for having me, Kareem.
Yeah, thank you, CJ.
And Karen, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, Karen.
Folks, if you got questions, go ahead and ask them now.
Hey, everybody. What did we learn? Did we learn that the vets educators are people who did pave the way for us, who did learn from the mistakes. There's people out there, like we mentioned one of the classes, real estate red flags, okay? So somebody went out there and mitigated some of the problems. You could be in a world of hurt right now, Ray, if you hadn't had that education.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I meet people on a daily basis that say, I don't know, I tried that real estate thing, and then they start to tell me their sad story of what went wrong with that. And I said, oh, I heard about stories like that from my educators, okay? And they wanted to make sure that I didn't go out and do the same thing.
That's right.
So I also bought the large package
Yes.
for $20,000. I made double that back in my first fix and flip. So
nice.
it didn't take long for $20,000 not to cost. Didn't have much value
What
to
did
me
it
anymore.
cost
Right.
then?
Because I'm busy thinking of my next project and how am I going to make money on this one. Okay.
Right.
So there are people out there that are making 100,000. Okay, is it typical? No, but guess what? You get better at this with
Yes.
practice.
Yes.
Okay, I can't thank my instructors enough, the CEO, and my God enough for getting involved with this group and changing my life. Because my 22 years with the post office didn't amount to diddly squat. And did I tell you that I just left the business right before I went postal? So it was fun. Of course, some people might want to debate that subject too. My children weren't. Maybe my husband. But I want you to learn more. Keep learning. Okay, you've learned that there's a group out there. So now you know what you don't know. What's stopping you from making that dream come true? Taking those steps. Okay, we had a great presenter tonight. Wouldn't you like
Yes.
to set up in just a few years? I mean, that whole setup was what, 8 months in the works?
Yeah.
All right?
Wow.
Do you think if you talk to Ray and Joseph, they would love to share and help you out? That's what is great about this investor group is the community. The community is here to help you, right? I love the community.
Yes.
Does the community, is it just Arizona? No. It is all across the nation. And at the last nationals, our CEO was almost wanting to go live with the information, but it sounds like we are definitely going international.
Wow.
Okay?
Yes.
So get in on the ground level.
Yes.
Prices are going up. It's that time of year, well, it's been what, 3 years, 4?
Yes.
Okay, so prices are going up. So here's a good opportunity for you to get started, okay? We're all here for you, and we all put a profile out there, numbers to, and emails to contact us. So, please, change your life. We'll help you. Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Woohoo! Thank you so much. Awesome.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
That was awesome.